ريح اندومي. مين سوي هذا؟ مين اندومي؟ وين بدر؟ بدر وين؟ بدر وين 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 وين؟ اسطر. هي هي نعيمة نعيمة
هنا.
شوف شوف. بدر ما صمت، ما صمت يا بدر.
مو بحقي
شو مو بحقك؟ انت اللي تاكل.
مو بحقي لا تطول.
شابي ما صمت والله العلم.
Paul would always drive too. I mean, I didn't have to worry about anything. Well, one night, so he tells me he's not feeling good. We'd rented a red Cadillac or something like that. Well, you remember, I used to come to the arenas, and this is before social media and everything. You know, so some people knew what I looked like, but a lot of people didn't. And they're always interested in Kane. Was he all scarred up and messed up? So I'd always wear like a towel over my head or a black ski mask when I'd get into the arena. So here I am, and I got Paul in the car, his big red Cadillac. There I am in my ski mask, driving up to the arena, and it's the sports arena there in San Diego.
Yeah.
Remember, you go down the ramp, and people are lined up all across. I mean, thousands of them. So I'm driving along, and all of a sudden, Paul Bearer, who just a few moments before was on his deathbed, rolls down the window and just starts yelling out the window, "It's a miracle! Kane can drive! Kane can drive!" I'm just like, I've never been so embarrassed in my life, man. Paul would always drive too. I mean, I didn't have to worry about anything. Well, one night, so he tells me he's not feeling good. We'd rented a red Cadillac or something like that. Well, you remember, I used to come to the arenas, and this is before social media and everything. You know,
WWE is known for its larger-than-life moments inside a match. In his Last Ride documentary series, he shared that he couldn't recollect a significant portion of the bout with Lesnar because he suffered a severe concussion during the match. Eventually, his remarkable winning streak was broken, making it 21-1. After the match, that he couldn't even remember his own.
Last year.
Even Brock Lesnar, who had ended The Undertaker's legendary streak just a year prior, was seen backstage motivating him before his match against Bray Wyatt. Despite their intense history, this moment showed a surprising side of Lesnar, offering encouragement to his former rival.
Hey everyone, recently we got the release of the Tokyo Ghoul PTB and the new killer of Kaneki. Today I'm going to be looking over Kaneki himself, but also the wider patch and the many different changes that have happened within it. Big quality of life things that were mentioned in the recent health update post, and also things that weren't mentioned there, like changes to certain killers like Xenomorph and Legion. So to start out, I do want to talk about Tokyo Ghoul. And Kaneki as the new killer. It is a solo killer chapter, so this is all the content we're actually getting, with a solo original survivor coming next to sort of pair up with this, although they're not going to be connected. One of the big conversation points I've seen around this chapter already is if Kaneki really fits a DBD. Not everyone is happy that we're getting anime in the game. It's not technically the first anime property though, with us having an original one being The Skull Merchant, but you know, I guess we know how that turned out. I do think though that they managed to translate this character very well into the game, with Tokyo Ghoul always having a horror theme throughout. So the new killer and his new power is quite interesting. He has these tentacles, and by its description alone, it did sound a bit like it was going to be a second Wesker, but this isn't really the case. He's actually quite different with the way he bounds about. He's able to shoot out his tentacles and pull himself toward various areas. He's a bit closer to Blight, I would say, instead of Wesker, but even then he's very different. He's able to bound about, attaching to walls to pull himself to certain locations, and he's also able to directly attack survivors with this, sort of sucking in their blood, it seems, and enraging him, which ups the amount of times he can do these bounds and also allows him to stun survivors. Overall, he is just really fun. It's a fun power. It's certainly a very unique way to play the game, being able to bound sides are mainly just coming in the form of the typical issues that powers have when they first come out, which is some bugginess, some sort of like collision issues now and then when you're doing some bounds, and things like that. But aside that, the power is great. It's a little map dependent here and there. I did struggle on some maps more than others, but in general, it's a really solid power. I think it's a lot of fun. I think overall it's going to be received quite well. In terms of how the character is presented and the lore, I do really like it actually. It's the lore takes him from the point where I think a lot of people were assuming he was going to be taken from, which is this point at the end of the first season of Tokyo Ghoul, after he's gone through some pretty bad stuff. And this is essentially the moment he enters into the fog. And basically it works out, if you're wondering. If you've not read the story, or you've not seen the show or whatever, the lore works out pretty well. It works out, it makes sense. One thing I was a bit disappointed with though is his lack of sort of voice lines. He does seem to sort of mutter some things every now and then, but he doesn't say too much, and most of the time he's just going rah, 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 every time he leaves. That's a little annoying. It's a bit too frequent for my liking personally. Yeah, especially when he's jumping, and in the lobby he does it a lot too. You know, I get it, he's suffering, he's a ghoul, he can't eat burgers, but you know, it's a little much. I think they could tone that down a little bit. And I'd like to see some sort of voice lines added, but I mean, I'm sure at this stage that's not really possible. It just feels like with a solo killer like this, you really want all of those elements there, so I was a little disappointed by that, but you know, it's hardly a big deal. Coming onto his perks, I'll say they're nothing
This is gonna hurt.
Particularly special, I think, but they are quite cool, and I do like them overall. I think they're good additions to gameplay. They don't feel like they're fulfilling sort of perk slots that already exist. They're providing something unique and different. None of them are particularly overpowered, none of them are really weak though either, which is always a good thing. So I think having them all in this sort of in-between area is completely fine. I think some of them, you know, do have potential to be quite strong as well. So overall, I think perks, another thumbs up. The final thing I will say before we leave this off, and I do want to be mostly positive because I did overall really enjoy playing him. I enjoy how he looks in game. I think everything's great. I do think it was disappointing how we didn't get much marketing for this chapter. You know, there wasn't, I think, any lead up at all. I don't remember there being any teasers. I don't think there was even a trailer dropped when he was released on the PTB. It all seems very Dead Sands, that's what it's called. And this map is better, I think, than the old Eyrie of Crows. I think this new Dead Sands map has the shack at the center of the map and has various tiles surrounding it. It's not all too dissimilar from something like Rotten Fields. It's one wall, which is quite nice to see, because whilst Legion can be a little annoying, they also do deserve this wall of buffs, because, you know, they've had a lot of cooldown issues for a long time. Their stun duration is really long for what they're actually able to do. They can be annoying, which I think is why Behavior is hesitant to buff them, is because of how Deep Wound works. But I think with their recent changes to Deep Wound, and all the changes they've been doing, and, you know, the quality of life improvements to the HUD and stuff like that, I think they've decided finally, okay, we can probably buff Legion and it's going to be fine. And yeah, it is. It's pretty much fine. What they did specifically is they've decreased the fatigue duration to 2.5 seconds, down by 0.5, increased their movement largest PTB changes. These things could change, but for now these do look really bad, and that's coming from me, who's a big time Xenomorph hater. I really don't like Xenomorph. I think Xenomorph is silly. Unfair. I've never liked the tail attack. That's my issue with the Xenomorph really, is the tail attack. And the turrets a little bit too. I just find the turrets annoying. But the tail attack is my main issue. And what they've done is they've nerfed the tail attack by adding a slightly longer delay from when it releases, and they've also heightened the volume for survivors when you use it as the killer. These both sound like really good changes, and when I read these in the patch notes before the PTB dropped, my reaction was, oh, these are really good. That's basically what I wanted. I wanted to be a bit more signaled. I wanted, you know, to be able to actually tell when it was happening, and I wanted a bit of a bit of time for me to actually be able to react to the tail when it was striking me. The issue is this doesn't seem to have worked all too well, because apparently it's actually taking a lot longer than 0.35 seconds to do this. So whilst the other changes may be sort of okay, this one seems to be a bit bugged. So if they smooth it out after the PTB, these two changes might still be fine, but there's the other ones which are the bigger issue, which is to do with the turrets, and it's essentially causing Xenomorph to almost forced to be kicked out of its power after a certain amount of time due to the way the turrets and the flames now work. I'm not going to be that good at explaining it. I watched a Mr. Headache video I would recommend checking out. He lays it out all really well and explains exactly why this is terrible. And again, as a Xenomorph hater, it does sound terrible. I don't like how the Xenomorph is currently, but that doesn't mean that I want every Xenomorph player to be miserable, or the character to be completely gutted, which is essentially what this update is going to do. So I hope this doesn't come to life. I really hope it doesn't. The final character that got some changes was Chucky, and these are just good. They're very simple. He got a cooldown to his power recovery, and he got a boost to the time it takes for him to hit max speed. That's all he really got. It's fine though, they're both good changes. Next up we have the surrender option. This was introduced due to the big issues surrounding slugging, mainly at least, and the go next meta, would you call it meta? The go next epidemic, as some have been calling it. This has been added to allow people to essentially give up during a match. It allows both killers and survivors to do this. For killers, they can do it when all remaining survivors in the trial are all bots, and they can also do it when no generator has been completed within the last 10 minutes. Now, these both sound pretty okay on paper, especially the bots one. If all the survivors are bots, I think it makes complete sense. You give up the match, you don't want to play against bots, that's fine, I think. I don't see any issue with that. Personally, I can't even remember the last time when I faced just a full team of bots from everyone DCing. I don't think that's even happened in, you know, a couple of years probably, so. But the other one, when no generator has been completed within the last 10 minutes, this does sound a bit dodgy, because it could very well lead to people wanting to stealth or prioritize stealth, you know, on the this. On the survivor side, if there's 2 of you left, the killer's, you know, like, searching the map, and you decide to just wait them out, what's going to stop the killer from just sort of giving up? It creates these situations where, if you're a survivor and you do want to progress the game, but your teammate's not helping, and then eventually the killer sort of can just give up the game for you, it's just a bit unfortunate. I understand it's also frustrating for the killer, but it's one of those things where it feels like, well, if people are still partaking in the trial, it doesn't seem all too fair. So there is an issue with that. It's one of those things where it's like, there's too many complicated scenarios where this can come into play. I think ultimately it's probably fine if you can give up in this instance, but I do think it's a little, I don't know, there are going to be scenarios where it's not going to feel nice to happen, I think. For survivors, they're able to give up when all other remaining survivors are bots, which makes sense, I think, and when all survivors are in the dying state. The bots one, again, I think is fine. I think this one is a similar situation. If all your teammates are bots, they've all given up, they've all gone next, what's the point in staying? I think that's perfectly fine. You can give up, go next, great. When it comes to all survivors in the dying state, this is one I don't like all too much, because it's one of those things where, you know, there's times when games can be recovered, someone can get a 4%, someone might have Unbreakable and save the match. So just the fact that all the survivors are in the dying state doesn't mean the game's over, you know, someone could wiggle as well. It's one of those things where games can be turned around, and to me that's a really core part of gameplay too in DBD, is those moments when you sort of recover or you make like a cool save or play. Maybe it doesn't end up in you winning or escaping the match as survivor, but it's still a moment that's nice to have, I think. So, I don't know, I wasn't the biggest fan of this one upon reading it, but I do equally sort of get it. I just hope it doesn't lead to people being too fast to jump to, you know, just giving up immediately. This is what I worry about mainly with these changes. Whilst I think they're great for what they're tackling, I do worry they're going to become, I don't know, a means for people to give up too easily, I guess is how I'd phrase it. A bit like they do now with the go next thing, you know? It's just, oh, I'll just take chances on hook and go next. You know, they're not really thinking about much else. They just want to be like, okay, whatever, fine, this match is done, I'm going next. It feels a bit like that way from a palette they just dropped. This is a tough one to judge, but it's another perk that does feel a bit like, oh, it benefits the killers who need it the most, if that makes sense. For example, a character like Blight could use this, so the survivor gets slowed and blights on them within like a couple seconds. You know, it sort of benefits a character like that insanely, but then benefits a character like Trapper sort of minimally. I don't know. It's obviously a tough one to balance. There's
Yeah, but I'm fasting though.
So why are you out?
What do you mean why am I out?
If you're fasting, you should be indoors.
Yeah, but
I'm eating my lunch and you come and disturb me.
yeah,
What for?
yeah, but I can smell it.
So what? It's food. Of course you're gonna smell it.
كان في واحد ماشي بعربيه وراجل معاه عيله ومعاه 6 اطفال مثلا، ووقف كده. انا كنت انا وواحده صاحبتي اجنبيه وماشيين في السيمتري، وقف جنبنا كده قال لي انتوا من فين، بتعملوا ايه هنا؟ وقلنا بنتمشى وبتاع. قال لي طب محتاجين حاجه؟ شكرا. محتاجين توصيله؟ شكرا. طب محتاجين بيت؟ شكرا احنا تمام. قال لي طب محتاجين فلوس؟ قلت له شكرا شكرا والله. قام طلع من جيبه 300 دولار وبيديهم لي 300 دولار. والمفروض ان الشعب ده طلع من حرب وعنده مشاكل وكاره العالم بسبب اللي عملوه فيه. اللي بيروح هناك كده اللي هو ايه الهبل ده، احنا كان بيضحك علينا في الميديا طول عمرنا. انا عملت انترفيو ل 20 واحد اجنبي، ايه الحاجه اللي حببتك؟ طب ايه السبب؟ الناس. كان فيها حرب، كان فيها حرب. مش احسن بلد في الدنيا، مش احسن بلد في الدنيا، بس احسن ناس في الدنيا. من بعد السفريه دي كنت بدور على اي بلد ريبيتيشن بتاعها وحش واروح، ودايما ببروف ات رونج.
جامد فشخ.
دايما دايما دايما، لان مفيش حاجه اسمها بلد وحشه. حسيت ان انا الميديا عمرها
I'm starving.
If I can make it to the kitchen without waking my parents up, I'll be good. Ah, shit! My mom left the door open. She has a very strong sense of sound.
الفنان يونس شلبي كان بيمر بأزمة مادية كبيرة لأنه صرف كل فلوسه عشان يتجوز، وما كانش معاه يعمل بوفيه للمعازيم. ولما أصحابه الممثلين سألوه فرحك إمتى، كان بيقول لهم أنا هعمله في فندق صغير وهيبقى عائلي ومش هعزم حد ومش عاوز حد يجيلي. منهم اللي استغرب كلامه وزعل، ومنهم اللي حس إن في حاجة غريبة، لأن دي مش طريقة يونس شلبي إنه يتكلم معاهم كده. قبل الفرح بأيام عادل إمام عرف مكان الفندق وراح اتفق مع الإدارة إنه هيدفع تمن البوفيه بالكامل، ولو في أي مصاريف زيادة هيدفعها أحمد زكي وأحمد بدير وحسن مصطفى. وفي يوم الفرح يونس شلبي يتفاجئ بالوسط والمغني كله داخل عليه. قال لهم يونس انتوا برضو جيتوا مفيش فايدة؟ وقال لعادل إمام مين اللي عمل كده؟ رد عادل إمام وقال له ملكش دعوة، أهم حاجة إنك تفرح. الفنان يونس شلبي كان بيمر بأزمة
فيلم من الأفلام المهمة جدا اللي حصل عليها جدل كبير قوي لما نزل هو فيلم 5 باب. أول فيلم يجمع بين نجمين تقال جدا في الوقت ده وهم نادية الجندي وعادل إمام. والفيلم ده أول يوم عرض ليه حقق نجاح وإيرادات عالية جدا في السينمات، ولكن بعد أسبوع واحد بس من عرض الفيلم ده اتشال من كل السينمات. وبعد محاولات كتير جدا 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 الفيلم رجع تاني للسينمات، ولكن ما حققش نفس النجاح اللي حققه أول ما اتعرض. وده لأن الفيلم وقتها اتسرب لشرايط الفيديو اللي كانت منتشرة جدا في الوقت ده. ولك أن تتخيل بقى إن أجر عادل إمام ونادية الجندي في الفيلم ده كان 50,000 جنيه لكل واحد فيه. فيلم من الأفلام المهمة جدا اللي حصل عليها جدل كبير قوي لما نزل هو فيلم 5 باب. أول فيلم يجمع بين نجمين تقال جدا في الوقت ده وهم نادية الجندي وعادل إمام. والفيلم ده أول يوم عرض ليه حقق نجاح وإيرادات عالية جدا في السينمات، ولكن بعد أسبوع واحد بس من عرض الفيلم ده اتشال من كل السينمات. وبعد محاولات كتير جدا 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 الفيلم رجع تاني للسينمات، ولكن ما حققش نفس النجاح اللي حققه أول ما اتعرض. وده لأن
Please welcome the one, we hope the only, Triple H. That was some good acting on your part.
You got a hell of a grip, man.
Yes, I do. I'm quite a man. Now, let's talk here. You are probably the best bad guy in the world. You're very good at it. You enjoy it, don't you? You enjoy being the bad guy.
Yeah, it's what I live for. When the people are booing or they're screaming and spitting at me, that's what I live for. I mean, it sounds weird, but it's the best part of my job. And the funny thing about our industry is that
most times the baddest bad guys tend to be the nicest guys personally.
Backstage,
Yeah,
right.
you know, and the good guys tend to be the biggest jerks, you know. I mean, pretty much like you. I mean, that's the best you've got? That's it? I'm serious. I met him backstage. He comes off as a great guy out here, right? He's all smiling, happy, making you laugh. Backstage, what a jerk. You're the biggest Hollywood piece of crap I ever met. That's all you've got? You can't do better than that?
They don't understand that the booing makes you stronger.
Makes me strong like bull.
But I am a big jerk backstage. It's what I enjoy doing. Do people, by the way, you're a fathead.
Is this your attempt at doing what I do for a living, inciting people?
I think if I started being like a real bad guy, I think it would be, I mean, our ratings couldn't probably get any higher than they are now. But I think if I might change my whole persona and went after people just like you, I think that the show would just really take off.
So
and
if you had an attitude, a bad attitude, you think that would help?
That's right, jerk. Look at my long hair. I mean, come on, you look like Fabio on crack. I mean, you're all cranked up. You got the big, seriously. You got the big man boobies. Look at that, look at that. Sid. Just kidding. Oh, great, I wet myself. It's such...
You forgot the first rule of being a bad guy is you can talk trash, but you have to be able to back it up.
Yeah, I don't have the backing up thing. If I took my jacket off, my torso would fall onto the ground. It's the only thing holding me together right now.
You're like a coat hanger with meat hanging off it.
Now you're sort of like Shecky Green, yeah. You're Don Rickles, yeah. Now people actually carry signs at these wrestling matches. They carry signs that say how much they hate you. Yeah. Is there? And you have to look. You have to look at that. Good comeback. Yeah, you have to look at these signs, which I think would be really difficult to see. What sign has particularly stuck out lately?
I mean, we get all kinds of signs. I mean, from people hating us. A lot of them are the same. Sometimes there's original ones. Actually, my favorite sign, because I'm a big fan of the show, believe it or not. My favorite sign was just a little bit ago. There was a sign.